Hello YouTube, I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing my book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. I don't know why I'm so yellow. What? I don't know why I'm so yellow. There we go, sorry. So I've been doing some research and, not just about finances, but just about life in general. And is it just me, or does it seem like everyone has just, given up on life? I mean, seriously, given up on life. I mean, China's birth rates are so incredibly low. They sell more adult diapers than they do baby diapers because people are not reproducing. They got rid of the one-child law a long time ago. Males in their society are much more valuable than a female, so many females have been given up for adoption and nobody's adopting them. People are not having children. And then in the United States, the birth rate is also dropping. Japan, Korea, a lot of these, it's not just Asian countries, it's in the United States too. People are giving up on saving for any sort of retirement. There's a thing called laying flat where they've given up trying to get an apartment or a house or a full-time job, and they're what's laying flat, just making enough money to eat food that day and living on the streets. It's not a drug problem or a mental health issue. It's just they've given up. Here in the US, I am seeing people who are giving up on getting out of debt. They're giving up on accumulating any type of retirement. A lot of people are giving up on getting a real full-time job, and they're doing a bunch of side gigs, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, whatever all those things are. They're doing side gigs, going to labor ready, stuff like that. Have no aspirations. They've given up aspirations on ever purchasing a home. And I have a theory, I do, but I feel like I need to jump into action and get everybody some hope, get you guys on board with anything is possible. Believe in yourself, but my theory, we'll get to my theory, but I think that people think that life has gotten so expensive that there's no use in trying anymore, and that's part of it. But another huge part of it is that our government has made it too expensive to live. Living is back-breaking work for little pay, barely enough to pay your bills, if that. So people are just giving up on their bills. And inflation has something to do with it. But I've made videos before about how if people really knew how much the government was taking from them without giving anything back, there would be a revolution. Even Warren Buffett said at one time that people don't realize that the government takes half of what you make. And they do. Most people just look at income tax. They don't look at Social Security being deducted or from their paycheck, excuse me, because they think they're going to get it back. They don't look at FICA. They don't look at property tax and bridge tolls and gas tax and sales tax and all these other taxes. Entering into a national park costs money, which is already paid for through our tax dollars, and the government lies to us all the time. I remember in California, they had us vote a long time ago. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat. Just one second. They had us take a vote on increasing the taxes on gas, increasing gas taxes, which we all knew the price of gas was going to go up with this new gas tax. And they said that it was going to go to infrastructure. It was going to build a bullet train from Los Angeles to San Francisco. It was going to improve the infrastructure, and it was going to go to schools. Come to find out, they completely lied about it. And then when they were called out on their lie, they just said, well, we're just going to keep doing, we're not going to do what we said we were going to do. We're just going to continue doing what we're doing, even though we completely got caught lying to the public about this. And we don't care. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. No, it's not going to go to schools. No, it's not going to go to infrastructure. It's going to go in our pockets, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you can't go back and take another vote like, hey, do you want to take this tax away that we're taxing you on? No, they have the money in their pockets, and they're not going to go back on it. There's that. They're just not going to. And there was another vote on some other tax. Gas tax. I don't remember what the other tax was. But even, let's say you make $20 an hour, you're really only making 10. You're only making $10 an hour after all of the taxes and the fees and everything else is paid. And if you were to take the amount that you've paid into Social Security, if you were to take that amount, which, by the way, Social Security is eventually going to go the way of the dodo, of pensions and unions, which are few and far between these days. But eventually Social Security will run out. I get my Social Security statement, and I'm always told by the time I hit retirement, you're not going to get anything. And I get the argument from a lot of people. They've been saying that for years. They said it to me, and I've been retired for such and such years and all this stuff. Best case scenario when I retire is it's going to be reduced to about 75 to 80% of what it is now, adjusted for inflation. Worst case scenario, there's going to be nothing. But I've put all that money into Social Security. I'm still putting money into Social Security every single year. Now, if I were to take all of that money that I've been paying into Social Security and I were to put it into the S&P 500 index, I would have 4 times as much per month than the government is going to be paying me in Social Security. So to me, that's flat out highway robbery. You pay registration on your cars, which is unconstitutional, and technically, if you go way back into the old ancient times of horse and buggies laws, it still has not been updated, and it is unconstitutional to have to pay registration, which they also say is going to go to infrastructure and stuff like that, and it never does. There's potholes everywhere in any state. I mean, in Arizona, there's barely even any paved roads. Everything's still dirt. They just haven't paved it. So, yeah, so my theory is that people can't afford to live anymore, but they're placing blame in the wrong place. They're placing blame on jobs that don't pay enough, but it's a capitalistic economy. So there's not really much that you can do about wages. I mean, you're not going to go out there and find $100 an hour job in an economy where you get paid $20 an hour. The average right now is $29 an hour in 2024. So that's not going to change. But I think that the declining birth rate, hikikomori, I don't know if you've heard of that term, is expanding. And they're calling, if you look up hikikomori, it's people who feel so much pressure from society in getting a job, and most people in other countries define themselves based on their success, and their success is defined by their job. And that's how they take any sort of pride in the family, in the home, in themselves, anything like that. And hikikomori are people who completely it's like they lose it. Usually it happens in teens to age 25, but some people don't grow out of it. And what they do is they essentially lock themselves down in their bedrooms at home, living at mom and dad's, and they never go back to school, never go back to work. And now some of these people, their parents are aging and their parents have been taking care of them forever, and their parents are now in their 80s. And these hikikomori who started out at age 20 are now in their 50s. And once their parent dies, they have nobody to support them. Social services work very differently in foreign countries. They have nobody to support them. And they're now 50 years old and they've never integrated themselves into society because it was too much pressure from society in order to become a part of it. And then in other countries, we here in the United States complain that we work 40 hours a week. In other countries, the average is 60 hours a week. And that's like bare minimum. That's like a 40-hour work week to us is like 60 hours to them. And some people can't do it. They've completely given up. And I'm here hopefully telling you not to give up. I didn't give up, but that was 20 years ago. So my $49,000 worth of debt, which would be accumulated to probably $85,000, $90,000 worth of debt now, I paid that off in a year and a half. And that year and a half was hell. It really was. It was bad. You know, going on an extreme no spend for a year and a half, not spending anything on anything, eating from, you know, company potlucks and whatever rice I could scrounge up for a year and a half. And, you know, working 72 hours a week at minimum. It was tough. But these people in our society as well, seems like they don't have the problem that I had. They're not in debt, but they have to work that and maintain that for the rest of their lives just to be able to afford to live. And people are giving up. And I worry about it. I mean, if you look at our society and everybody, I think that everybody can come to a consensus and agree that since the 50s or 60s, all parts of society have started to slowly decline. It's like the frog in the pot, slowly declining over time. And if you think about it that way, right now, today, if we're going to continue on the same trajectory of the decline of our society, not just our society in the United States, but in the world, today is as good as it gets. And if today is as good as it gets, you got to put the hustle behind the muscle and you got to get it together. When you're backed into a wall, you've got no choice but to fight. Fight or flight. So you can run like these hikikomori and these people who have given up on society, or you can fight. I chose to fight. And I hope that you guys, even if you're in your 50s, 60s, even in your 70s, and you have nothing saved for retirement, you're in debt, you still have a mortgage, you have to pay rent, whatever the case may be, as long as you are still breathing, there is hope. There is hope, folks. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. I see that stub. I see that stub of yours. What are you going to do? Get down, Nala. Get down. Yeah, you're my boy. Why do your eyes look all poltergeisty? You're my poltergeist boy. Oh. Mwah. Mommy loves you. And you, little one. Cutie.